The Hornets fall in a tough one. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here on the Muenster Hornet Football Show. As Muenster once again loses to a tough 3A team to fall to 2-2 on the season. Of course, the first time it was Holiday. This time it was Pottsboro in a 42-33 loss. But a lot of positives can be gained from this game, as Coach Carney will talk about here in the Coach's Show. And I do appreciate you joining us for the Coach's Show. I want to remind everybody, if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, all you have to do is email the show, terry@s2ssport.com. We're going to jump right into it. We'll take a break, and when we come back, it's the head coach of the Muenster Hornets, Coach Brady Carney, right here on the Muenster Hornet Football Show on L4 Media. Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie, and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. Terry Bennett back here on the Muenster Football Show, now joined by the head coach of the Hornets, Coach Brady Carney. And, Coach, a tough loss against a really good Pottsboro team this past week. What were your thoughts?
Man, like you said right there, just a really good football team. I think I underestimated them on the film. Not knowing exactly what Sanger and Mount Vernon had and seeing the success that they both had on offense versus their defense made me think that maybe we were going to be able to move the football, run the football like we had been able to, but we weren't really able to do that with any success. They're just a good football team, man. And it was obvious showing up there Friday night. It's probably the best team I've seen them have in 2 or 3 years. And they do some things really well. Got some really dynamic pieces on offense, and I think they're playing better defense, So, and they put us in a bind in a few different ways in special teams. The area of special teams with the onside kick they got and a fake punt they converted. But man, I'm not taking anything away from those guys. That's a talented football team, and I could see them making some noise if they stay healthy this year. I definitely think they can win some football games in the playoffs.
Well, you talk about that they're a team that likes to do the onside kick and do different things like that, and we've talked a little bit about this before on this show. But explain to the fans how hard that is when you've got to take extra time to teach different things that you might not see the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah, no, and I told you earlier, we had some kids up front that shouldn't have been up front. We should have had more of a hands team out there, and I'm not putting the blame on those kids at all. That's on me as a coach, not them. But the thing is, when you put a hands team out there and you protect the front line, then they kick it deep, and they pinned us inside the 10 a couple times. So what they have in their kicker and their special teams can put people in a bind, and it dang sure put us in a bind the other night. Hats off to those guys and how they're coaching their special teams up. But, yeah, it takes extra time away from offensive practice maybe, or even defensive alignment and so forth, things getting ready for offense and defense that you don't have a lot of time, you don't feel like to do for special teams. But you got to get it in. So we worked that kind of stuff yesterday just because as a coach I learned from it. So we took all our frontline guys on the kick return. We worked onside kicks with them and just recovering it. And then our punt return stuff, and then protecting our when we have teams that are blocking punts against us, and then of course fake punts against us. We went over all that yesterday in our afternoon session, and it's just things that you have a hard time getting to in what feels like a short amount of time. And then you take a 2A team like us. All our kids play both ways, a lot of them. So it's not like they're just over here going over offense and defense. Don't got a special teams group. All our kids do everything. So to fit it all in, man, it's a time crunch, but you got to be able to get it in because it'll come back and haunt you like it did against us, versus Pottsboro and Holiday.
This feels like a different feeling for you after the loss to Holiday. That one was more frustrating. This one, it feels like, and you've basically kind of called this game last week when we were talking before we recorded how you thought it could go with their offense. But this one feels like y'all definitely took some things y'all can learn from and use going forward.
I think the main thing for me was that our kids didn't stop fighting. It was 35-14.5 because of a failed fourth down conversion for us, which I felt like we get that. Maybe we got a chance to score. And then the fake punt right before half that they scored on. So those are some things that put us in a bind, 35-14, and came out, held them to one score in the second half, and then we were able to put some up. So I think the main thing for me taken away from it is, our kids still have some fight in them. I thought they fought to the very end against a good football team. we didn't make a ton of mental mistakes. I don't think our offensive tackles played real well, and I'm not trying to call them out here on the radio or on our podcast more than I have in person, because they know that they didn't play great, and it's something they're working on this week to get better. But no, there's a few things I disappointed in, but definitely not our fight. I thought we fought our tails off up until the very end.
All right, you move on now, and you take on a De Leon Bearcat team that you and I were talking off the air. I don't think a lot of people understand how talented this team is. They have a new coach, Brendan Whitaker. They seem to have been able to basically adapt to his schemes pretty quick, and I think this is a dangerous Bearcat team.
No, I think it is, and like you and me were talking about, they've got some guys that are now juniors and seniors that have been playing for 2 or 3 years on the varsity. They've taken some lumps along the way. I thought they competed really well last year in their district with Hamilton, who won the region, and bring a lot of those kids back. Big up front, talented quarterback, good running backs, good receivers, and then defensively, of course, at the 2A level, a lot of those kids flip and play the other side, But no, very talented team, and I knew that last year going in there. We were just able to jump on them last year.
Mm-hmm.
We jumped on them and whipped them early and often. So I just, like I told the boys, that ain't gonna happen this year. This is a senior and junior led team, and these guys they're not gonna make a 3-hour drive to come up here and get their heinies whipped. They're gonna come to fight a little bit, and I feel like that's what they're doing this year when you watch them on film. They got a lot of fight in them and a lot of experience on both sides of the football. So man, they're a talented football team, and we expect for those guys to show up and play a heck of a football game on Friday.
I know Munster's a regional favorite and a team that, 2 state championships and all, but especially after you win a state championship, every game the next year is that proverbial, you're their big game of the year. You're their proven game.
That's what we talked about. That's what we try to talk about a lot. That's what I talked about last Friday too. I don't care if it's Pottsville's 3A Division I. They take this game as an opportunity to beat a state champion,
mm-hmm.
whether you're a 2A Division II, Division I, whatever. It's an opportunity for them to show that they're, show everybody they're a good football team. And that's what we're going to get from everybody until we can open the game up a little bit. Our kids lived that moment 2 years ago against Albany. We hung around to the very end and fought our tails off, and our kids, you could see them just continuing to believe they could play with Albany. And dang near had a shot to beat them. And anytime a team hangs around, you give them that opportunity, you're just going to continue to build confidence. So, to open a game up, you've got to create some turnovers. You got to get some things to go your way, and you need to get that 2 and 3 score lead. And once you do that, some people didn't realize, hey, well, we can't beat these guys, and they lay down a little bit. But until you can do that, like you said, everybody's going to play us hard, and it's their opportunity to show that they can beat a state championship football team.
I've had some coaches tell me that outside of the homecomings and stuff, the game that they are worried about the most are the games right before a bye. Do you have that kind of fear?
Man, I don't. And the only reason I say that is I felt like we've practiced a little better the last couple of days. I thought we had a really good practice this morning. Maybe it's the cooler weather, whatever it was. I thought we had a little more intensity this morning at our morning practice. So I feel pretty good about that. And it's one of those things I talk about. Give me 3 more days. Give me 2 more days. I'll get you some time off next week, but we can't look past this week. So we're trying to emphasize that as much as we can. And I don't think our kids look past many people. I feel like we bring a good fight most of the time, and I don't anticipate anything different this week.
Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie, and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe.
As always, we want to thank the head coach of the Muenster Hornets, Coach Carney, for joining us. Week 5 already, man. I know we say this every year on this show and on our sideline to sideline shows, but man, the season just seems to go by faster and faster. This is going to be an interesting matchup. I think De Leon's a really solid Division I team. In fact, I think me and Coach are talking, and I feel like they might end up being the one that comes out of that, if not strong region, a very wide open region too in 2A Division I. So I think this is a good bounce back test for the Hornets. Now, programming note, With next week being a bye week, we will not have a show. I always like to give the coach a week off. And also, we're just talking repetitive, and it would be a really short show just talking about the daily on game. So we'll skip on bye week, and then we'll be back on the next week, which, of course, will be the week 6 of the season. Excuse me, week 7 of the season. Anyway, any thoughts or comments, again, please email the show, Terry@S2S Sport. Other than that, enjoy the football this week, and we'll meet back here in about 12 days right here on the Muenster Hornet Football Show on L4 Media.